My 9-year-old daughter was terrified of being alone with her father. I thought she was just going through a phase. Then I installed a hidden camera in her bedroom. What I saw made me realize I'd left my child alone with a monster. Hello, my dear listeners. Thank you for being here. If you enjoy stories like this, please subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. I always find it fascinating to read which cities and countries you're listening from, and if you've lived through something like this, so don't hesitate to write a comment. Now please get comfortable. Happy listening. Let me tell you how it all started. My name is Miriam Wilson. I'm 42 years old, and for the past 15 years, I've worked as a senior business consultant for a multinational firm based in Chicago. My job requires extensive travel, sometimes 3 weeks out of every month, flying to different cities, different countries, helping companies restructure their operations. It's demanding work, high pressure, well paid, and it had always been my dream career. When I married Marcus Wilson 17 years ago, we made a decision that seemed progressive and practical at the time. He would be the stay-at-home parent when we had children, and I would be the primary breadwinner. Marcus had been working in sales, but he wasn't particularly passionate about it. He said he'd always wanted to be more involved in raising our kids than his own father had been. Everyone said we were lucky. A husband willing to stay home? A wife with a successful career? It seemed like the perfect modern arrangement. When Sophia was born 9 years ago, Marcus threw himself into fatherhood with enthusiasm I admired. He read parenting books. He joined dad groups. He volunteered at the church nursery. He became that father, the one everyone noticed, the one other parents complimented. Your husband is amazing, other mothers would tell me at school events. I wish my husband was that involved, and I believed them. I believed I had the perfect setup, a thriving career and a devoted husband who loved being a father. But 3 months ago, something changed. I returned home from a 3-week trip to Singapore, exhausted from the 15-hour flight, dragging my suitcase through our front door around 6 in the evening. The house was quiet, too quiet. Hello? I called out, setting down my bags. I'm home! Usually Sophia would come running. She'd throw her arms around me, chattering excitedly about everything that had happened while I was gone. School projects, play dates, the books she'd read, the drawings she'd made. But that evening, there was only silence. Marcus appeared from the kitchen, wiping his hands on a dish towel. Hey, welcome back. How was the flight? Long, I replied, looking around. Where's Sophia? In her room. She's been a bit quiet today. I think she might be coming down with something. I climbed the stairs, my heart already feeling that instinctive pull of maternal concern. Sophia's bedroom door was closed. I knocked gently. Sophia? Sweetheart, Mommy's home. There was a long pause. Then, in a small voice, come in. I opened the door and found my daughter sitting on her bed, a sketchbook in her lap. She looked up at me, and my breath caught. She had dark circles under her eyes, deep purple shadows that made her look years older. Her face was pale, and she seemed smaller somehow, more fragile than I remembered. Baby, what's wrong? I crossed the room and sat beside her, reaching out to feel her forehead. Daddy says you're not feeling well? I'm okay, she said quietly, not meeting my eyes. You don't look okay? Have you been sleeping? She shrugged, still not looking at me. I glanced at the sketchbook in her lap. Sophia loved to draw, always had. But the drawing she was working on now made me pause. It was dark, chaotic. A child's figure in black and red, surrounded by shadows. That's an interesting picture, I said carefully. What is it? She closed the sketchbook quickly. Nothing, just drawing. Sophia, look at me. Slowly she raised her eyes. And in that moment, I saw something that chilled me. Fear. My daughter was afraid. Sweetheart, is something wrong? Did something happen while I was away? She opened her mouth as if to speak, then glanced toward the open door. Marcus was standing there, leaning against the doorframe. Everything okay up here? He asked, smiling that easy smile I'd always found reassuring. Sophia's entire body tensed. I felt it, the way she pulled back slightly, the way her shoulders hunched. We're fine, I said, watching my daughter carefully. Just catching up. Dinner's almost ready, Marcus said. Sophia, why don't you come set the table? She nodded quickly, closing her sketchbook and sliding off the bed. As she passed her father in the doorway, I noticed something else. She kept her distance. She didn't brush past him or hug him like she usually would. She gave him a wide berth, her eyes downcast. What was that? At dinner, I watched them both carefully. Marcus chatted about the neighborhood news, about Sophia's school activities, about the weather. He seemed perfectly normal, perfectly relaxed, but Sophia barely touched her food. She sat quietly, pushing pasta around her plate, answering only when directly asked a question. "How was school this week, honey?" I asked. "Fine. What did you learn in art class?" "Just stuff." "Did you play with Emma at recess?" "Sometimes." One-word answers. Monotone voice. "This wasn't my talkative, creative daughter." "She's been like this all week," Marcus said, reaching over to ruffle her hair. Sophia flinched, just slightly, but I saw it. "I think she might be tired. Growing pains, you know?" Kids go through phases. After dinner, I helped Sophia get ready for bed. As I tucked her in, I tried once more to reach her. "Baby, you know you can tell Mommy anything, right? No matter what it is?" She nodded, her eyes fixed on the ceiling. "Is everything okay? With school? With your friends?" Another nod. "What about here at home? Is everything okay with Daddy?" Her body went rigid. Just for a second. But I felt it. "Yes," she whispered. "Sophia, I'm tired, Mommy. Can I go to sleep now?" I kissed her forehead, troubled by the conversation, or lack thereof. "Okay, sweetheart. Sleep well. I love you." "Love you too," she murmured, rolling over to face the wall. I left the room, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was deeply wrong. That night, I lay awake beside Marcus, my mind spinning. I kept seeing Sophia's face, the fear in her eyes, the way she'd flinched when Marcus touched her hair, the dark circles, the withdrawn behavior. "Marcus," I whispered in the darkness, "do you think something's wrong with Sophia?" He sounded half asleep. "She seems different, quiet, scared almost." "She's fine, Mir. Just a phase. You know how kids are. But those dark circles, she's been staying up late reading. I've told her to turn off her light, but you know how she is with books." It was a reasonable explanation. Sophia did love to read, but something still felt off. The next morning, I tried to spend quality time with Sophia. I suggested we go to the park, just the two of us. She agreed, but without enthusiasm. As we sat on the swings, I watched her carefully. She was swinging, but mechanically, no joy, no laughter. "Sophia, can Mommy ask you something?" She slowed her swing. "Okay. Are you happy, sweetheart?" She looked at me with those big, tired eyes. "Yes. Are you sure? Because you seem sad and scared, and Mommy's worried about you." She bit her lip. For a moment, I thought she might tell me something. Her mouth opened slightly, her eyes welled up with tears. Then her phone buzzed. She pulled it out, the phone we'd given her for emergencies. It was a text from Marcus. "How's the park? Don't forget we have soccer practice at 2 p.m. Sophia's face changed. The moment was gone. She wiped her eyes quickly and put the phone away. "I'm fine, Mommy. Really. Can we go home now?" I have homework. I didn't push. But I also didn't forget that moment. That brief second when she'd almost told me something. Over the next few days, I observed everything. I watched how Sophia interacted with Marcus, how she never quite relaxed around him, how she measured her words carefully when he was in the room, how she always seemed to know where he was in the house. I noticed other things too. The way she picked at her food, the way she startled at sudden noises, the way she spent more and more time alone in her room. One afternoon, while Marcus was out grocery shopping, I went into Sophia's room. She was at school, so I had the house to myself. I told myself I wasn't snooping. I was just worried. Just checking. Her room was neat. Too neat for a 9-year-old. Everything was perfectly organized. Bed made with hospital corners. Books arranged by height. Not a single item out of place. I opened her sketchbook, the one she'd been drawing in when I first came home. Page after page of dark images, shadowy figures, children crying. One drawing showed a small figure in bed with a larger figure standing over it. The larger figure's face was blank. The small figure's mouth was covered. My hands trembled as I turned the pages. There were words, too, written in Sophia's careful handwriting. "I want to be good. Please don't be mad. I'm sorry. It hurts. What did this mean?" I heard the garage door opening. Marcus was back. Quickly, I closed the sketchbook and left Sophia's room, my heart pounding. That evening, I called my sister Elena. Elena was a teacher, had worked with children for 15 years. If anyone would know what to think about Sophia's behavior, it would be her. "Mir, listen to me carefully," Elena said after I described everything. "Those are signs. Dark circles from lack of sleep, withdrawn behavior, fear of a parent, perfect room, that's a control issue. Kids who are abused often become hypervigilant about keeping things perfect to avoid punishment." Abused? The word hit me like a physical blow. "Elena, Marcus wouldn't—" "I'm not saying he would. I'm saying those are the signs. Have you noticed any bruises? Any marks?" I thought back. I'd seen Sophia in short sleeves, in her pajamas. I hadn't noticed any obvious bruises. No, nothing like that. That doesn't mean nothing's happening. Emotional abuse leaves scars too. So does punishment that doesn't leave visible marks. What should I do? Document everything. Watch carefully. And Mir, trust your instincts. You're her mother. If something feels wrong, it probably is. After we hung up, I sat in my car for a long time thinking, could Marcus be hurting our daughter? The man I'd trusted for 9 years to care for her while I traveled. The father everyone praised? It seemed impossible. But those drawings, that fear, those dark circles, I needed to know the truth. The next morning, after Marcus took Sophia to school, I drove to an electronics store downtown. A young man greeted me. Can I help you find something? I need a hidden camera, I said quietly. Something small, discreet, something I can access remotely from my phone. He studied me for a moment. For security purposes? Yes, I replied. For my daughter's security. He showed me several options. I chose a camera disguised as a simple USB charging block. It could be plugged into any outlet, looked completely ordinary, and transmitted video directly to an app on my phone. How's the video quality? I asked. HD, even in low light. And it has audio. You'll hear everything within about 20 feet. Perfect. I left the store with the camera, feeling both relieved and sick to my stomach. Was I really going to spy on my own husband? In my own home? But if something was wrong, if Sophia was being hurt, I needed to know. That afternoon, while Marcus and Sophia were at soccer practice, I went into Sophia's room. I looked for the perfect spot. It needed to capture the whole room, but be completely invisible. Finally, I decided to plug it into the outlet behind her bedside table. The white charging block blended perfectly with the white outlet cover. Unless you were specifically looking for it, you'd never notice it. With trembling hands, I set up the camera and connected it to my phone. I tested it. Perfect view of the entire room. Clear audio. I felt a wave of guilt wash over me. What kind of mother spies on her family like this? But then I remembered Sophia's drawings, her fear, the way she flinched from her own father. I had to know. That night at dinner, I announced that I had to leave again for work. When? Marcus asked. Day after tomorrow. 10 days in Boston this time. I watched Sophia's reaction carefully. Her face went pale. Her fork clattered against her plate. 10 days? She whispered. I know, baby. I'm sorry. But it's important meetings. I'll bring you back something special, okay? She nodded, but I saw her hands shaking. After dinner, when I went to tuck her in, she grabbed my hand tightly. Mommy, do you really have to go? I do, sweetheart. But Daddy will take good care of you. He always does, right? She didn't answer. Just held my hand tighter. Sophia, has Daddy ever hurt you? The question hung in the air between us. She went very still. No, she finally whispered. But she wouldn't look at me. If something was wrong, you'd tell me, right? Mommy, I'm tired. Can I sleep now? She was shutting down again, afraid to talk. I kissed her goodnight and left, my heart breaking. 2 days later, I left for Boston. But I wasn't really going to Boston. Instead, I checked into a hotel 30 minutes from our house. I told my office I was working remotely, took all my meetings via video call from the hotel room, and I watched. I watched the camera feed from Sophia's room constantly. During the day while she was at school, nothing happened. The room was empty. But at night, the first night, around 10 p.m., I watched Marcus enter Sophia's room. She was already in bed. Time for bed, he said, his voice coming through clearly on the audio. Did you brush your teeth? Yes, Daddy. Good girl. Sleep well. He kissed her forehead and left. Nothing unusual. I watched Sophia lie there in the dark, staring at the ceiling. She didn't fall asleep for over an hour. The second night was the same. Marcus came in, said goodnight, left. I started to wonder if I was being paranoid. If Elena was wrong? If I'd misjudged everything? Maybe Sophia was just going through a phase. Maybe the drawings were just creative expression. Maybe I was a terrible mother for doubting my husband. But on the third night, everything changed. It was just past midnight. I was dozing in my hotel room, my phone beside me on the bed, the camera app still running. A movement on the screen woke me. Marcus was entering Sophia's room. I sat up, instantly alert. This was different. It was midnight. Why would he be going into her room? I watched as he approached the bed. Sophia stirred, waking up. Daddy? Her voice was sleepy, confused. Shh, he whispered. We need to have a talk, but it's nighttime. I said we need to talk, Sophia. About your behavior today. My daughter sat up, rubbing her eyes. What behavior? Don't play dumb with me. You left your backpack in the living room again. What have I told you about that? I'm sorry, I forgot. You forgot. You always forget. His voice had changed. Gone was the gentle, patient father. This voice was cold, hard. Do you know how many times I have to remind you? Do you know how embarrassing it is when your mother comes home and sees your things everywhere? I'm sorry. Sorry isn't good enough anymore, Sophia. That's when I saw him pull something from his pocket. In the dim light from Sophia's nightlight, I could see what it was. Duct tape. My blood went cold. Daddy, what? You need to learn to be quiet. To listen. Your mother spoils you. She thinks you're perfect. But I know better. I know you need discipline. Please, Daddy, I'll be good. Open your mouth. No, please. He grabbed her chin roughly. Sophia tried to pull away, but he was too strong. I watched in horror as he tore off a piece of duct tape and pressed it firmly over my daughter's mouth. Sophia's eyes went wide with terror. She tried to make a sound, but the tape muffled everything. That's better, Marcus said calmly. Now we can have a proper conversation without your whining. I was frozen, staring at my phone screen, unable to process what I was seeing. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be happening, but it was. Marcus reached into his other pocket and pulled out a belt. He folded it in half, testing the weight. Sophia was crying now, tears streaming down her face, her small body shaking with silent sobs. Take off your pajama top, Marcus ordered. She shook her head frantically. I said, take it off, unless you want me to make this worse. With trembling hands, my 9-year-old daughter pulled off her pajama top, and that's when I saw them. Bruises, old and new. Yellow, green, purple marks across her back and shoulders. Some were fading, some were fresh. This had been happening for a long time. Turn around, Marcus commanded. She turned her back to him, her small shoulders heaving with silent cries. This is for your own good, Marcus said, his voice eerily calm. One day you'll thank me for teaching you discipline. Your mother certainly isn't going to do it. She's too busy with her precious career. Then he raised the belt. I need to stop here for a moment. I need you to understand that what I'm about to describe was the hardest thing I've ever witnessed. But I also need you to understand why I kept watching. Why I didn't immediately rush home because I needed evidence. I needed concrete, undeniable proof of what was happening. Otherwise, it would be my word against his. And Marcus was the beloved stay-at-home dad. The volunteer, the one everyone admired. So I watched. And I recorded. And I cried silently in that hotel room as my husband beat our daughter. He struck her back 5 times with the belt. Hard, deliberate blows that left red marks on top of the old bruises. Sophia's body jerked with each hit, but the tape over her mouth kept her silent. When he was done, he stood there for a moment, breathing heavily. Now, he said, are you going to remember to put your backpack away? Sophia nodded frantically, still crying. Good. Let me make something very clear, Sophia. If you ever tell your mother about our discipline sessions, she'll think you're lying. She'll think you're making up stories for attention. And then I'll have to punish you much worse. Do you understand? Another frantic nod. Besides, he continued, his voice taking on a different tone, your mother doesn't really care. Do you know why she's always traveling? Why she's always gone? Because she loves her job more than she loves you. I'm the one who's here. I'm the one who takes care of you. So you better show me some respect. He ripped the tape off her mouth. Sophia gasped in pain, her lips red and swollen. Put your shirt back on. Go to sleep, and don't let me hear any crying. Men don't cry, and neither should you. He left the room, closing the door quietly behind him. I watched as my daughter sat there, shaking, tears running down her face as she pulled her pajama top back on with trembling hands. She lay down on her side, clutching the stuffed rabbit I'd given her years ago, and cried silently into her pillow. I sat in that hotel room staring at my phone. My entire world shattered. My husband, the man I'd trusted, the man everyone admired, was a monster, and I'd left my daughter alone with him. I sat in that hotel room, my phone still in my shaking hands, watching my daughter cry herself to sleep. Every instinct screamed at me to drive home immediately, to burst through that door, to grab Sophia and run, to call the police right now. But a small rational part of my brain, the part that had built a successful consulting career by thinking strategically, told me to wait, to think, to plan, because if I went home now in the middle of the night, Marcus would know something was wrong. He might destroy evidence. He might manipulate Sophia. He might convince the authorities that I was the unstable one, the absent mother making wild accusations. I needed more than one night of video. I needed to establish a pattern. I needed evidence that this wasn't a one-time incident, but systematic abuse. So I did the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I watched for 3 more nights. Each night, around midnight, Marcus would enter Sophia's room. Each night, he had a different excuse. She'd left a dish in the sink. She'd gotten a B on a spelling test. She'd talked back to him earlier. Each night, he used the tape to silence her. Each night, he used the belt. And each night, he told her the same things, that I didn't love her, that I cared more about my career, that she was lucky he was there to discipline her properly, that if she ever told anyone, no one would believe her. I recorded everything. Every single session. 36 minutes of footage total, spread across 4 nights. It was more than enough evidence to destroy him. On the morning of the 4th day, after another sleepless night watching the camera feed, I called my sister, Elena. Mir, it's 6 in the morning. Are you okay? My voice broke. Elena, I need you. Right now. Can you come to the Marriott on Highway 51? What? Why are you at a hotel? Aren't you supposed to be in Boston? I lied. I'm here. I've been watching. Elena, you were right. About everything. There was a sharp intake of breath. Oh my God, what did you see? I can't talk about it on the phone. Please, just come. Bring your laptop. We need to plan this carefully. I'm leaving right now. 40 minutes later, Elena knocked on my hotel room door. When I opened it, she took one look at my face and pulled me into her arms. Show me, she said quietly. We sat on the bed, and I pulled up the videos on my laptop. I'd already created a private cloud folder with all the footage, backed up in 3 different places. I wasn't taking any chances with this evidence. I warned Elena before I played the first video. This is going to be bad. Really bad. But I need you to watch. I need someone else to see this to confirm I'm not losing my mind. She nodded, her jaw set. I played the video from the first night, watched Elena's face go pale as Marcus entered Sophia's room at midnight, watched her hand fly to her mouth when he pulled out the duct tape, watched tears stream down her face as he beat our niece with a belt. When the video ended, Elena was shaking. That son of a bitch, she whispered. That absolute monster. Mir, we have to... I know, but we have to be smart about this. If we go in wrong, he could talk his way out of it. He's good at that. Everyone loves him. The perfect dad. Elena wiped her eyes, her teacher instinct kicking in. Okay, let's think. First, we need to get Sophia out of that house immediately. Then we go to the police with the evidence. But how do we get her out without alerting Marcus that something's wrong? If he suspects anything, he might... I couldn't finish the sentence. Elena thought for a moment. School. Sophia's at school right now, right? I checked the time. Yes, she has class until 3. Perfect. Here's what we do. I'll go to the school and tell them there's a family emergency, which is true, and that I'm picking up Sophia early. Marcus is on the approved pickup list, but so am I. I took her to the dentist last year, remember? Yes, but won't the school call Marcus to confirm? They might. So we need to time this perfectly. You call the police while I'm getting Sophia. Show them the videos. Get them to the house to arrest Marcus. By the time the school calls him, he'll already be in custody. It was a good plan. But there was a problem. What if he's at the school when you get there? He volunteers on Wednesdays. Library duty. Elena checked her phone. Today's Thursday. He should be at home. Should be. But what if he's not? Then we adjust. Mir, we can't wait any longer. Every hour we delay is another hour Sophia's in danger. Another night she might have to endure that. That torture. She was right. It had to be today. We spent the next hour mapping out every detail. Elena would arrive at the school at 1:30 p.m. during lunch, when Marcus typically wouldn't call to check in. She'd tell the office there was a family emergency, and she needed to pick up Sophia immediately. Family emergency was vague enough that the office wouldn't ask too many questions. Meanwhile, I would drive to the police station at 1 p.m. and ask to speak to a detective who specialized in child abuse cases. I'd show them the videos. Get them to move immediately. We synchronized our watches like we were planning a military operation. In a way, we were. This was a rescue mission. At 12:45 p.m., I hugged my sister tightly. Thank you, I whispered, for believing me. For helping me. That's my niece, Elena said fiercely. I'd do anything to protect her. Just like you're doing. Now let's go save her. We left the hotel in separate cars. Elena headed toward Sophia's school. I drove to the county police station, my laptop in a bag beside me, the weight of what I was about to do pressing down on my chest. At the station, I approached the front desk. A woman in uniform looked up. Can I help you? I need to report child abuse, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. I have video evidence. I need to speak to a detective immediately. Her expression changed instantly. Come with me, please. She led me to a small room and told me to wait. 5 minutes later, a woman in her late 40s entered. She had kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. Mrs. Wilson? I'm Detective Lisa Park. I understand you have evidence of child abuse? Yes. My husband has been physically abusing our 9-year-old daughter. I installed a hidden camera in her bedroom. I have 4 nights of footage. Detective Park sat down across from me, pulling out a notepad. Tell me everything from the beginning. I told her about Sophia's behavior changes, the dark circles, the fear, the withdrawn personality, the drawings, my sister's concerns, the decision to install the camera, and what did the camera capture? My husband entering my daughter's room past midnight, putting duct tape over her mouth to keep her quiet, beating her with a belt, telling her that if she ever told anyone, no one would believe her. Detective Park's expression hardened. How many times did this happen on camera? 4 nights. But based on the old bruises visible in the videos, this has been going on for much longer. Months, maybe years. Do you have the footage with you? I pulled out my laptop. I have it here. I also have it backed up in 3 separate cloud locations. I was careful to preserve the evidence. That was smart thinking, Mrs. Wilson. Can I see? I turned the laptop toward her and pulled up the first video. I should warn you. It's hard to watch, she nodded. I've been doing this for 15 years. I've seen a lot, but thank you for the warning. I played the video. Watched Detective Park's jaw tighten as she watched Marcus tape my daughter's mouth. Watched her hands clench into fists as he beat Sophia with the belt. Watched her eyes fill with professional fury as he threatened our daughter into silence. When the video ended, she was quiet for a moment. How old is your daughter? 9. She just turned 9 last month. And this has been happening for how long? I don't know exactly, but based on the bruises, at least several months. Maybe longer. Detective Park made notes quickly. Mrs. Wilson, this is clear-cut evidence of felony child abuse. I'm going to bring in our Child Protective Services liaison, and we're going to move on this immediately. Where is your daughter right now? I checked my watch. 1:35 p.m. Elena should be at the school by now. My sister is picking her up from school right now. Emergency pickup. We didn't want to leave her alone with my husband any longer than necessary. Smart. And where is your husband? At our house, as far as I know. 2847 Maple Street. She stood up. I'm going to need you to stay here while we coordinate with patrol officers and CPS. We'll get a warrant for your husband's arrest and send officers to your home. Your sister should bring your daughter here to the station so we can conduct a proper interview in a safe environment. Will Sophia have to testify? I don't want her to be traumatized further. We'll be very careful with her. We have specially trained interviewers who work with child victims. And with video evidence this clear, we may not even need her testimony for the criminal case. The videos speak for themselves. She left the room, and I sat there, my hands shaking, pulling out my phone to text Elena. At police station. Showed detective the videos. They're moving now. Bring S here when you have her. They'll interview her safely. 3 dots appeared. Elena was typing. Got her. She's in my car. Confused, but okay. On our way. I felt a wave of relief so powerful it nearly knocked me over. Sophia was safe. She was with Elena. She was out of that house. 20 minutes later, Detective Park returned with another woman, mid-50s, wearing a blazer with a CPS badge clipped to her belt. Mrs. Wilson, this is Cynthia Torres from Child Protective Services. We've reviewed your footage and obtained an emergency warrant for your husband's arrest. Officers are en route to your home now. Your sister texted that she has your daughter? Yes, they're on their way here. Good. When they arrive, Cynthia will conduct a preliminary interview with Sophia. We'll also need a medical examination to document her injuries. I know this is a lot, but we need to move quickly to build the strongest case possible. I understand. Whatever you need. I just want her safe. She is safe now, Mrs. Wilson. You did the right thing. 30 minutes later, Elena walked through the door of the police station with Sophia holding her hand. My daughter looked small and frightened, her eyes darting around the unfamiliar environment. When she saw me, her face crumpled. Mommy? I rushed to her and dropped to my knees, pulling her into my arms. She clung to me, her small body shaking. It's okay, baby. Everything's going to be okay now. Aunt Elena said there was an emergency. What happened? Where's Daddy? I looked up at Detective Park, who nodded slightly. Sophia, sweetheart, Daddy's not going to hurt you anymore. Mommy knows what's been happening. I know about the nighttime visits. I know about the tape and the belt. and it's never, ever going to happen again. Sophia went rigid in my arms. You know? I know everything, baby. And it wasn't your fault. None of it was your fault. Do you understand? Daddy was wrong. What he did was very, very wrong. She started crying, deep, wrenching sobs that shook her whole body. Not the silent crying I'd seen on the camera. This was loud, unrestrained grief. I held her and let her cry. Let years of fear and pain pour out in that police station hallway. When she finally calmed down enough to speak, her voice was tiny. Are you mad at me? Mad at you? Baby, no. Never. I'm so sorry I didn't see it sooner. I'm so sorry you had to go through that alone. Daddy said you wouldn't believe me if I told you. He said you'd think I was lying. I believe you, Sophia. I will always believe you. Always. Detective Park approached gently. Sophia, my name is Detective Park. Your mom showed me videos of what your dad has been doing to you. We know he hurt you, and we're going to make sure he never hurts you again. But I need to ask you some questions, okay? Just to help us understand everything that happened. Sophia looked at me, frightened. It's okay, sweetheart. I'll be right here with you. These people are going to help us. They're the good guys. The interview room was nothing like the interrogation rooms you see on TV. It was warm and comfortable, with soft chairs and children's drawings on the walls. Cynthia Torres sat across from Sophia with a kind smile, while Detective Park remained standing nearby, taking notes. Sophia, can you tell me when your daddy first started hurting you? My daughter looked down at her hands. I don't remember exactly, maybe when I was 7 or 8, after Mommy started traveling more. 2 years. This had been going on for 2 years. And what would he do? At first it was just spankings, with his hand. He said I needed to learn discipline because Mommy wasn't home to teach me. But then it got worse. How did it get worse, honey? He started using the belt, and he put tape on my mouth so I wouldn't scream. He said if anyone heard me crying, they'd think he was a bad dad. But he said he was actually a good dad because he was teaching me to be better. Cynthia's expression remained neutral and calm, but I could see the anger in her eyes. Did he ever tell you not to tell anyone? All the time. He said Mommy wouldn't believe me, that everyone would think I was lying, that if I told anyone, he'd have to punish me worse. She paused. He also said Mommy didn't love me. That's why she was always traveling, that she cared more about her job than about me. My heart shattered into a million pieces. Sophia, look at me, I said, taking her small hands in mine. None of that is true. I love you more than anything in this world. More than any job, any career, anything. What Daddy told you was a lie. He was trying to control you, to keep you silent, but you're not alone anymore. The interview continued for another hour. Sophia told them everything. About the midnight visits, about the increasingly severe beatings, about the psychological abuse, the constant reminders that she wasn't good enough, that she needed to be punished, that her mother didn't care. After the interview, a pediatric nurse conducted a physical examination. She documented 19 separate bruises in various stages of healing across Sophia's back, shoulders, and upper arms. She took photographs for evidence. She noted the ligature marks on Sophia's face from the repeated application and removal of duct tape. While this was happening, Detective Park pulled me aside. Mrs. Wilson, we have your husband in custody. Officers arrived at your home at 2:15 p.m. and arrested him without incident. He's being booked now on charges of felony child abuse, assault on a minor, and unlawful restraint. Based on the evidence, we're confident we can make all charges stick. What happens next? There will be a bail hearing, likely tomorrow. Given the severity of the charges and the video evidence, we'll argue he should be held without bail. We'll also be requesting an emergency protective order, keeping him away from Sophia and from you. He'll try to claim I'm lying, that I fabricated the video somehow. He's very convincing. Mrs. Wilson, we have 4 separate video files with metadata showing they were recorded on specific dates and times. We have your daughter's testimony corroborating every detail in those videos. We have medical evidence of long-term physical abuse, and we have your testimony about the behavioral changes you observed. This isn't a he said, she said situation. This is an open and shut case. She paused, then added more gently, you did everything right. The camera, the documentation, the way you carefully preserved evidence. Many abuse cases fall apart because there's not enough proof. You made sure that wouldn't happen, but I didn't feel like I'd done everything right. I felt like I'd failed my daughter for 2 years. Later that evening, Elena drove us to her house. She'd already prepared the guest room for Sophia and me. As we pulled into her driveway, Sophia spoke for the first time in an hour. Mommy, Are we going home? Not to our old home, sweetheart. Daddy was arrested today. He's in jail. And we're going to stay with Aunt Elena for a while until we figure things out. Will I ever have to see Daddy again? Not if you don't want to. The judge is going to make rules that keep you safe. She was quiet for a moment. Then, good. I don't want to see him. Ever. That night I lay in bed next to my daughter, something I hadn't done since she was very small. She'd asked me to stay with her, afraid to be alone in a dark room. Mommy? She whispered. Yes, baby? Did you really see the videos? Of what Daddy did? Yes, I saw them. Was it scary? It was the scariest thing I've ever seen. Because it was happening to you, and I wasn't there to protect you. But you protected me now. You saved me. I held her closer. I should have seen it sooner. I should have known something was wrong. I'm so sorry, Sophia. I'm so sorry. It's okay, Mommy. Daddy was really good at hiding it. He only did it when you were gone or when you were asleep. And he told me... She trailed off. What did he tell you, sweetheart? He told me you were choosing your job over me, that every time you traveled, it meant you didn't love me enough to stay. I thought maybe if I was better, if I didn't make him mad, you'd want to come home more. The knife in my heart twisted deeper. Oh, Sophia. No, baby. No. I traveled for work because that's how I provided for our family. But I never chose my job over you. Never. And what Daddy did to you had nothing to do with whether you were good or bad. He was the bad one, not you. Never you. She snuggled closer to me. I'm glad you know now. I'm glad I don't have to pretend anymore. You'll never have to pretend again. I promise. As she drifted off to sleep, I stared at the ceiling, thinking about the past 2 years, all the warning signs I'd missed, all the times I'd rationalized Sophia's behavior as just a phase, all the times I'd trusted Marcus because everyone else did. How many nights had my daughter cried herself to sleep while I was in a different city, thinking everything was fine at home? How many times had she wanted to tell me but stayed silent because she'd been conditioned to believe no one would help her? How many bruises had I failed to see because I was too busy looking at project reports and client presentations? The guilt was overwhelming, but Detective Park's words echoed in my mind. You did everything right. You made sure he couldn't talk his way out of it. I hadn't done everything right. But when it mattered most, when I finally saw the truth, I'd acted. I'd gathered evidence. I'd been strategic. I'd made sure my daughter would be believed, and now Marcus Wilson would face the consequences of what he'd done. My phone buzzed with a text from Detective Park. Your husband was denied bail. He'll remain in custody pending trial. Emergency protective order granted. He is not permitted to contact you or your daughter in any way. Sleep well knowing you and Sophia are safe. I read the message 3 times, letting it sink in. Marcus was in jail. Sophia was safe. The nightmare was over, but I knew even then that the real work was just beginning. The healing, the therapy, the rebuilding of trust and safety. As I finally drifted off to sleep next to my daughter, I made a silent promise. I would spend the rest of my life making this right, making her feel safe, making her understand that she was loved, that she was valued, that she was never, ever to blame for what had been done to her. And I would never, ever let anyone hurt her again. The preliminary hearing was scheduled for 2 weeks after Marcus's arrest. During those 2 weeks, Sophia and I stayed with Elena. We established a new routine, one built on safety and predictability. I officially took a leave of absence from work, telling my boss I had a family emergency. I didn't specify what kind, and thankfully, he didn't press. Every morning, I made Sophia breakfast. We'd sit together and eat slowly, talking about small things. The weather, what she wanted to do that day, books she was reading. Nothing heavy, nothing traumatic, just normal mother-daughter conversation. She started therapy 3 days after Marcus's arrest. Dr. Sarah Kim was a child psychologist who specialized in abuse cases. Her office was warm and filled with toys, art supplies, and comfortable places to sit. Sophia doesn't need to talk about the abuse right away, Dr. Kim told me after the first session. First, we need to establish safety. She needs to feel that her environment is predictable and secure. Then gradually, we can process the trauma. How long will that take? Every child is different. Some heal quickly, others take years. The important thing is that she's out of danger now, and she has a supportive parent who believes her. Those 2 factors make all the difference. I thought about all the children who didn't have those factors, who stayed in abusive situations, who weren't believed, who had nowhere safe to go. My daughter was one of the lucky ones. How terrible was that? She'd been tortured by her own father for 2 years, and she was lucky because she got out. During those 2 weeks, Detective Park kept me updated on the case. Marcus had hired an attorney, an expensive one, paid for by his parents. They were mounting a defense based on parental discipline rights. He's claiming everything on the videos was legitimate corporal punishment, Detective Park told me over the phone. His lawyer is arguing that the duct tape was used to prevent neighbors from being disturbed and that belt spanking is legal in this state. I felt my blood pressure spike. Are you telling me he might get away with this? No, absolutely not. What he did goes far beyond any legal definition of corporal punishment. The injuries, the frequency, the psychological abuse, all of that constitutes felony abuse. His lawyer knows this. They're just trying to establish reasonable doubt for a jury. But Mrs. Wilson, I've been doing this for 15 years. I've seen cases that were much less clear-cut than this result in convictions. The videos are damning. Your daughter's testimony is credible. The medical evidence is irrefutable. He's not getting away with anything. She paused, then added, also, we've uncovered something else. We spoke to Sophia's school. Her teacher, Mrs. Peterson, kept a file of concerning observations over the past year. Drawings that showed violence. Essays where Sophia wrote about being afraid at home. Behavioral changes. Mrs. Peterson had actually called CPS 6 months ago with concerns, but they conducted a home visit and Marcus charmed them. Told them Sophia was going through a difficult phase due to your travel schedule. They closed the case 6 months ago. Someone had noticed. Someone had tried to help. And the system had failed my daughter. The school is prepared to testify? I asked. Yes. Mrs. Peterson is highly motivated to see justice done. She feels guilty that her initial report didn't result in intervention. The day of the preliminary hearing arrived. Elena came with me for support. Sophia stayed with Elena's husband at home. She didn't need to attend this hearing, and I wanted to shield her from seeing her father for as long as possible. The courthouse was imposing. Gray stone, high ceilings, the smell of old wood and anxiety. We sat on a bench outside the courtroom, waiting to be called in. Then I saw him, Marcus, walking down the hallway in handcuffs, flanked by 2 officers. He was wearing an orange jumpsuit. His hair was messy. He looked tired. When he saw me, his expression changed, hardened. He mouthed something. I couldn't make out the words, but the hatred in his eyes was clear. Elena grabbed my hand. Don't look at him. He doesn't deserve even a glance from you. We were called into the courtroom. The judge, an older woman with silver hair and sharp eyes, presided over the proceedings. Marcus's lawyer made his arguments about parental discipline and privacy rights. The prosecutor countered with descriptions of the videos, the medical evidence, and Sophia's testimony. Then they played one of the videos in court, watching it on a large screen. In front of a judge and a room full of strangers was surreal. I heard gasps from court staff, saw the judge's expression darken. When the video ended, the judge spoke. Mr. Wilson, I've been on this bench for 23 years. I've seen many cases of child abuse. What I just watched on that video is not discipline. It's torture. Bail is denied. You will remain in custody pending trial. This preliminary hearing is concluded. We'll proceed to trial in 6 weeks. She banged her gavel, and it was over. Marcus was led away, still in handcuffs. He didn't look at me this time. Outside the courthouse, Detective Park met us. That went as well as it could have gone, she said. The judge is clearly on our side. The trial will be more involved. His lawyer will try to paint you as a vindictive ex-wife. They'll question the legality of the hidden camera. They'll try to make Sophia's testimony seem coached. But none of that will overcome the video evidence. Will Sophia have to testify at trial? We'll try to avoid it if possible. But if she does, she can testify via closed-circuit TV. She won't have to be in the same room as her father. Over the next 6 weeks, my focus was entirely on Sophia's healing. We moved into a small rental house. I couldn't bear to go back to the home where the abuse had happened. I officially resigned from my consulting job and took a position as a local business advisor for small companies. No travel, home every night by 6. Sophia slowly began to return to herself. The dark circles faded. She started smiling more. She laughed at jokes. She played with friends from school, but there were still hard moments, nightmares, days when she was withdrawn. Times when she'd ask suddenly, "Mommy, Daddy's really in jail, right?" "He can't come get me." "He's in jail, baby, and he's going to stay there for a very long time. He can never hurt you again." Dr. Kim told me these moments were normal. She's processing trauma. Her brain is working through what happened to her. It's not linear. Some days will be good, some will be hard. But overall, she's healing remarkably well. You're doing everything right. The trial began on a cold Monday in November. The courtroom was packed. I sat in the front row with Elena. Marcus sat at the defense table, wearing a suit his parents had brought him. He looked like the respectable stay-at-home dad everyone remembered. Not the monster I'd seen on those videos. His lawyer's strategy became clear quickly. He painted me as an absent, career-obsessed mother who'd neglected her family. He suggested the videos had been edited or manipulated. He brought in experts to testify about the legality of corporal punishment, but the prosecutor was prepared. She called Mrs. Peterson, Sophia's teacher, to the stand. Can you describe Sophia Wilson's behavior over the past 2 years? She changed dramatically, Mrs. Peterson said. She went from being an engaged, creative student to withdrawn and fearful. She stopped participating in class. Her drawings became dark and violent. She wrote an essay titled, When Mommy's Gone, that described feeling afraid at home. I was so concerned that I reported my suspicions to Child Protective Services 6 months ago. And what happened with that report? They conducted a home visit. Mr. Wilson was very charming. He explained that Sophia was having trouble adjusting to her mother's frequent travel. He showed them her room, clean, organized, no signs of abuse. They closed the case. Because Mr. Wilson was skilled at hiding what he was doing? Objection, Marcus's lawyer stood. Speculation. Sustained, the judge said. But the point was made. Marcus was good at hiding his true nature. The prosecutor called Detective Park, who walked the jury through the investigation. Then she called the pediatric nurse who'd examined Sophia, who testified about the 19 separate bruises, the ligature marks, the evidence of long-term systematic abuse. Then came the moment I'd been dreading. The prosecution calls Sophia Wilson to testify. Despite our hopes, Sophia's testimony was needed. The defense had argued so aggressively that the videos were somehow manipulated that the prosecution needed Sophia herself to verify what had happened. But she didn't have to enter the courtroom. A TV was set up, and Sophia testified from another room via closed-circuit video. I could see her on the screen, small, nervous, but brave. The prosecutor asked her gentle questions. Sophia, can you tell us what your father did to you when your mother was traveling? In a quiet but clear voice, my 9-year-old daughter described the midnight visits, the duct tape, the belt, the threats, the manipulation. Did you tell anyone what was happening? No. Daddy said no one would believe me. He said Mommy didn't love me because she was always working. He said if I told anyone, he'd hurt me worse. And when did your mother find out what was happening? She installed a camera in my room. Then she watched the videos and called the police. She saved me. I saw several jury members wiping their eyes. Marcus's lawyer tried to cross-examine her, suggesting her mother had coached her testimony. But Sophia was unwavering. No one told me what to say. I'm telling the truth. My daddy hurt me, a lot, and I was scared of him. Then came the videos themselves. The prosecution played all 4 nights of footage. The courtroom was silent except for the audio from the videos. Marcus's cold voice, Sophia's muffled cries, the sound of the belt striking her back. I watched the jury's faces. Horror, disgust, anger. When the final video ended, the prosecutor rested her case. Marcus's lawyer put him on the stand. A risky move, but necessary given the strength of the evidence against him. Marcus testified that everything he'd done was legitimate parental discipline, that the duct tape was to avoid disturbing neighbors, that the belt was no different from spanking, that he loved his daughter and was only trying to raise her properly while her mother neglected her parenting duties. My wife was gone 3 weeks out of every month, Marcus said, his voice calm and reasonable. Someone had to teach Sophia discipline. Someone had to be the parent. The prosecutor stood for cross-examination. Mr. Wilson, you testified that you love your daughter. Is that correct? Yes. And yet, you beat her with a belt hard enough to leave bruises that lasted for days. Is that your definition of love? That was discipline, not beating. You put duct tape over her mouth so she couldn't scream. You told her that her mother didn't love her. You threatened her into silence. That's love? You're twisting everything. I'm reading directly from the video transcripts, Mr. Wilson. These are your words. Your mother doesn't really care. She loves her job more than she loves you. Did you say that to your 9-year-old daughter? Marcus hesitated. I may have said something like that, but... And on the night of September 15th, you told her, "If you tell your mother, I'll have to punish you much worse." "Did you say that?" "That was taken out of context. It's on video, Mr. Wilson. There is no context that makes that statement acceptable." The cross-examination continued for 2 hours. By the end, Marcus's calm facade had cracked. He became defensive, angry, showing glimpses of the man I'd seen on those videos. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. When they returned, the forewoman stood. "In the case of the state versus Marcus Wilson, on the charge of felony child abuse, how do you find? Guilty? On the charge of assault on a minor? Guilty? On the charge of unlawful restraint? Guilty." I felt Elena's hand squeeze mine, felt tears streaming down my face, felt a weight I'd been carrying for months finally lift. Marcus's face went pale. His lawyer put a hand on his shoulder. The judge spoke. "Mr. Wilson, you have been found guilty on all counts. Sentencing will be in 2 weeks. Until then, you will remain in custody." This court is adjourned. As Marcus was led away in handcuffs, he looked at me one last time. No longer angry, just hollow, like he'd finally realized the magnitude of what he'd done and what he'd lost. 2 weeks later, at the sentencing hearing, the judge addressed Marcus directly. "Mr. Wilson, as a parent myself, I find your actions particularly reprehensible. You were entrusted with the care of a vulnerable child, your own daughter, and you systematically abused that trust. You tortured her physically and psychologically. You manipulated her into believing her mother didn't love her. You threatened her into silence. And when you were caught, you showed no remorse, only self-justification." She paused, looking at the sentencing guidelines in front of her. "The law allows for a sentence of up to 15 years for the charges you've been convicted of. Taking into account the severity of the abuse, the duration, the psychological manipulation, and your complete lack of remorse, I am sentencing you to 12 years in state prison. You will also be required to register as a child abuser. You will have no parental rights upon release, and you will be permanently barred from any unsupervised contact with minors." 12 years. Marcus would be 57 when he got out. Sophia would be 21. His parents, sitting behind him, gasped. His mother started crying, but I felt no sympathy. Only relief that my daughter would spend her entire childhood and teenage years free from his presence. After the hearing, Detective Park found me in the hallway. "It's over," she said simply. "He's going to prison. Sophia is safe. You can both start to heal now." "Thank you," I said, hugging her. "Thank you for believing us, for fighting for her. That's my job. But Mrs. Wilson? You're the one who saved her. You trusted your instincts. You gathered evidence. You acted when it mattered most. You're a hero to your daughter. I didn't feel like a hero. I felt like a mother who'd been blind for too long. But I also knew that dwelling on guilt wouldn't help Sophia. Moving forward would. That evening, I sat down with Sophia and told her about the sentencing. Daddy is going to prison for 12 years. That means you won't have to see him or talk to him until you're a grown-up. And even then, only if you choose to. She was quiet for a moment, processing. Is he mad? Probably. But his feelings don't matter anymore. What matters is that you're safe, that you can be a kid again, that you never have to be afraid in your own home. Mommy, can I ask you something? Anything, baby? Do you think Daddy will ever be sorry? Like, really sorry for what he did? I thought carefully about how to answer. I don't know, sweetheart. Some people are able to realize they did something wrong and truly feel sorry. Others never do. But here's the important thing. Whether or not Daddy ever feels sorry doesn't change the truth. What he did was wrong. You didn't deserve it. And you're not responsible for his feelings or his choices. She nodded slowly. Dr. Kim says the same thing. She says I'm not responsible for what grown-ups do. Dr. Kim is very smart. And she's right. Sophia was quiet for another moment. Then, Mommy, I'm glad you found out. I'm glad I don't have to pretend anymore. Even if Daddy never says sorry, I'm glad everyone knows the truth now. 2 years have passed since that November sentencing. Sophia is 11 now. She's in 6th grade on the honor roll and playing on a youth soccer team. She has friends who come over for sleepovers. She laughs easily. She talks openly. She still sees Dr. Kim once a week. Probably will for a few more years. Trauma doesn't just disappear, but she's learned tools to manage it. Ways to process difficult emotions. Strategies for dealing with anxiety when it surfaces. The nightmares have mostly stopped. She no longer asks constantly whether Marcus can come get her. She knows she's safe. As for me, I built a completely new life. I work as a consultant for local businesses, meaningful work that lets me use my skills while being home every night for dinner. I volunteer at Sophia's school. I'm present for every soccer game, every art show, every parent-teacher conference. I also speak to parent groups about recognizing signs of child abuse, about trusting your instincts, about the importance of believing children when they tell you something is wrong. The signs were all there, I tell these groups. The dark circles, the withdrawn behavior, the fear, the perfect overly organized room, the disturbing drawings. I rationalized all of it because I trusted my husband, because everyone else thought he was wonderful, because I felt guilty about traveling so much and wanted to believe everything at home was fine. I show them photos, not of the abuse, but of Sophia before and after. Before, a small, fearful child with haunted eyes. After, a smiling, confident girl who looks her age. This is what safety looks like, I tell them. This is what happens when a child is finally protected. But it took me too long to see the truth. Don't make my mistake. If something feels wrong, investigate, document, act. Last month I received a letter. It was from Marcus, forwarded through my lawyer. I almost threw it away without reading it. But something made me open it. Miriam, I know you have no reason to read this. I know I have no right to ask anything of you. But I need to say something, even if you never respond. I'm in therapy here. Court mandated, but I'm actually engaging with it. For the first time in my life, I'm looking at why I did what I did. The control issues, the anger, the belief that I had to be the strict parent because you were gone. None of that excuses what I did to Sophia. Nothing excuses it. I hurt our daughter. I traumatized her. I stole years of her childhood. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I'm writing this because my therapist says taking responsibility is part of healing. Not for me, but for the people I hurt. So I'm taking responsibility. What I did was abuse, not discipline. Abuse. I was wrong. Completely, utterly wrong. I hope Sophia is okay. I hope she's healing. I hope she knows that what happened was not her fault. It was mine. All mine. If she ever wants to know that I'm sorry, truly, deeply sorry, you can tell her. But only if she wants to know. I won't intrude on her healing. I'll never stop regretting what I did to her. To both of you, Marcus. I read the letter 3 times. Then I put it in a drawer. Maybe someday, when Sophia is older, I'll show it to her. Maybe she'll want to know that her father finally acknowledged the truth. Or maybe she won't care. That will be her choice. For now, I'm focusing on the present. On building a life where Sophia feels safe, loved, and valued for exactly who she is. Last week, she came home from school excited about a project. We have to write about a hero, she said. Someone who saved us or changed our life. Who are you going to write about? I asked. She looked at me like it was obvious. You, Mommy, you're my hero. You saved me. I hugged her tightly, feeling tears sting my eyes. You saved yourself too, baby, by surviving, by being strong, by choosing to heal. Dr. Kim says we saved each other, she said. I got safe, and you got to be the mom you wanted to be. She was right. In exposing Marcus's abuse, I'd also freed myself. Freed myself from guilt about traveling. Freed myself from a marriage built on lies. Freed myself to be the mother I should have been all along. If you're watching this video, I want to leave you with something important. Trust your instincts. As parents, we have intuition about our children. When something feels wrong, investigate. Don't rationalize. Don't make excuses. Don't assume everything is fine just because someone seems like a good parent on the surface. Hidden abuse is exactly that, hidden. Abusers are skilled at maintaining a perfect public image while inflicting terrible harm in private. My husband was beloved. Everyone thought he was an amazing father. But behind closed doors, he was torturing our daughter. The signs were there. I ignored them. I rationalized them. I trusted the wrong person. Don't make my mistake. If your child seems afraid of a parent or caregiver, investigate. If they have unexplained behavioral changes, investigate. If they have injuries they can't or won't explain, investigate. If something in your gut tells you something is wrong, listen to that instinct. Document everything. Take photos. Keep notes. Gather evidence. Because if you need to protect your child, you'll need proof that stands up in court. And most importantly, believe your child. When they tell you something is wrong, either in words or through behavior, believe them. Children rarely lie about abuse. They're far more likely to stay silent out of fear. My daughter suffered for 2 years because I didn't see the truth. 2 years of torture that I could have stopped if I'd paid closer attention. If I'd trusted my instincts sooner. But I can't change the past. I can only move forward. I can only make sure that every day from now on, Sophia knows she is safe, loved, and believed. That's all any child deserves. Safety, love, belief. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to this channel. Share it with other parents. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from and whether this resonated with your experiences. And if you suspect a child is being abused, don't wait. Don't hesitate. Act, report it, investigate, be the adult who steps in when a child can't protect themselves. Because every child deserves to be safe in their own home. Every child deserves to be protected by the people who love them. And every child deserves to know that when they're hurt, someone will believe them and fight for them. That's what I failed to do for too long. But when I finally saw the truth, I fought with everything I had, and my daughter is free now. Healing, growing, becoming the person she was always meant to be. That's worth everything. On the screen, you can see 2 more life stories I strongly recommend. There are many more waiting on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story.